Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria QK.
Hi everyone, welcome to Mother Knows Death. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Cardi B addressing the rumors that her BBL stinks, a delivery app driver who got a very suspicious order, the world's oldest person's secret to longevity, a baby who did some serious damage to his mom while breastfeeding, and a really messed up case involving workers getting sick at their job. All that and more on today's episode. Let's get started with Cardi B and the rumor of her stinky BBL.
Yeah, so I guess this rumor came out that her boyfriend said that she stunk like a trash bag, but then she went on Call Her Daddy and debunked it and said that she's, in a joking way, she said she was, quote, really anal about the way she smelled, and her BBL definitely does not stink.
No, she actually said, please, the way this ass be eaten, which was kind of amazing. But I feel like we talked about this. I don't even know. It was over a year ago that there was rumors going around that people were saying that girls that had BBLs had a stinky butt. Remember we talked about it?
Yeah, because that episode had an insane amount of downloads, which made me think that everybody wanted to know.
Yeah, so I don't think that there's any scientific material on that or any reason that it would smell any different than a person that has, you know, a natural big butt like that. It's just about practices of hygiene and cleaning and everything. I don't see what the thing would be, but a lot of people definitely think that it's a thing. This rumor came up with her, but we've definitely covered this before, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, she was also saying in this clip that she doesn't know where the rumors started popping up that BBL stink, but hers definitely doesn't. But then it reminded me of that story. But I guess, like you're saying, if you have good hygiene practice and everything and you're on top of it, it in theory should not smell. But do you think part of it is that people are not used to having such a different butt that they're just not taking care of it correctly?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the bigger it's completely not responsible to say that it's not possible, because let's just not even talk about a butt. Like, if you're a person that gets heavier and you have creases of skin, then you know that bacteria and yeast can grow in there and it could cause an odor sometimes, especially when people have like really large panis, like a large belly or something like that. Actually, the worst smelling specimen that I've ever received in the lab was from a person that was really super morbid, obese, and got a section of their skin cut off that had this crazy infection in one of the folds, and it just smelled so terrible. So if you're not able to reach around all of the folds of your body and clean properly, then like that can happen on your belly. So it can definitely happen in your butt too. And just, you're going to have an increase of sweating and moisture, and bacteria loves moisture and things like that. But in general, though, like if you're taking a shower every day and you could reach all your parts, I feel like it's fine.
Oh, yeah, totally. All right, a delivery driver got an order for garbage bags, zip ties, bleach, and a hatchet and had a bad feeling about it. So he ended up calling police, and it turns out he had pretty good intuition, because when they got there, they found out that the guy that ordered it was holding another person hostage in a motel room.
I am mind blown that you could order a hatchet from DoorDash. This is like this whole other level of being a criminal, that you're too, oh, you know what? I forgot. I need this delivered right now. I forgot all the materials I need to kidnap this person.
Well, do you ever read these stories and you're just like, how do people live, right?
Yes, it's
Like
every single day that
hostage.
we're on the air, actually.
Well, I was wondering too. So it didn't specify which delivery app it was. So I'm assuming DoorDash.
There is a picture. Yeah, there's a picture of DoorDash, but I don't know if that was just like a stock photo or whatever.
It could have been DoorDash. It could have been Postmates or something like that,
Uber
right?
Eats, yeah,
But
of them.
I wonder if, you can place an order from Home Depot or Lowe's, like a home improvement store, something like that.
Oh, you can, yeah.
And then in the comment section, they wrote hatchet. Because I would assume you would not be able to get a hatchet just delivered to your doorway.
No, I don't know. I don't know about that. Really.
Should we
I
look
mean,
it up?
yes, we should look
All
it
right,
up.
talk about more details of the story. I'm gonna go at DoorDash and see what the possibilities are.
So the guy shows up, and it's kind of interesting that the guy was even looking at the order to see exactly what items were ordered, and he did give them to the guy, but then he went right to the manager's office and he said, I don't know, I don't feel right about this. And after they were talking about it, they were like, let's just call police. This is like really ballsy of these people, because I think a lot of people would have been like, I don't want to get involved, or
But
maybe I'm overreacting. But really, why would anybody need a hatchet in a hotel room?
look, you can get it.
Well,
There's
well,
two
there you go.
options actually. You
Well,
can get
the
chainsaw too.
The thing is that this is so outrageous. Well, I don't really know a situation where you ever need an emergency hatchet, but the whole point of DoorDash and all these is to deliver things to people. Like, maybe there's someone that doesn't have a car and they're doing yard work, right? Like,
Or it's for extremely lazy
or
people.
it's for extremely lazy criminals.
I think maybe if these items were getting delivered to a residence, it would be less suspicious than them getting delivered to a motel room.
It's also just like, you know, when you go to you go to CVS or Walgreens and you need to buy like condoms or something, or you want to buy tampons or something, like a more embarrassing purchase, right? If you get a big box of like the dildo size tampons, you're like, okay, I can't just go up and buy this. Like, I have to add some gum and like maybe I'll get some makeup and some face lotion or something like that, just to kind of like make it look like, I don't know, not as embarrassing. Like, you were there for other reasons, not just because you have like a heavy flow, right? So this guy specifically ordered the only things that you would use to tie someone up and hold them hostage. There was no like light bulbs or like anything else, nothing. It just was like, I'm committing a crime here. This is what you would find in someone's trunk. Like, tie someone up, cut them up in pieces, like, right? It's just
Clean
like,
up the crime
he
scene with the
didn't
bleach.
he didn't even try to like order anything to throw them off a little bit, that it could have been something else.
I mean, total side note, I was on a DoorDash last night and I just wanted like a piece of cake or something, you know, just being a total fat ass. And I just typed in dessert in the search bar, and like the third listing that came up was a dildo store. I don't understand why it's getting categorized in the
Wait, there's a
dessert
dildo
section.
store that delivers?
Well, I didn't know this, but when I typed dessert in the search bar, it came up.
This is good information to know.
All right.
I'm just saying, you never know when you're
TMI.
going to need one.
All right. They call the police. The police get there. The man locked himself in the room. He claimed to have a gun. They had to get this crisis negotiator involved. And then the hostage ends up getting out, but he's not innocent either, because this hostage has a warrant out for their arrest and refused to identify themselves to the police.
Yeah.
How
interesting
do people
class of
live?
It's just scary to think that you're staying in a hotel room next to people like that.
Well, I
But
think if you're
there was
staying
like
at a
something that has to
roadside
do with,
motel,
wasn't there like something that had to do with drugs or something?
yeah, so the guy ended up getting charged with aggravated kidnapping and had active warrants for drug offenses. I mean, I think if you're staying at roadside motels, things like this are going on quite often, because we just had that decapitation story,
Yeah.
and now we had this, and I just don't understand what people are doing in their free time.
Motels are typically, sometimes they're nice, but there's a couple around here even that they like rent rooms by the hour, and they're just kind of like, you just would never stay there.
No.
But when you're traveling, like, how do you really know which one is like that?
Well, exactly.
You know, that's why I'm typically like not a huge chain brand name person, but in certain situations like that, I am.
This episode is brought to you by The Gross Room.
So last week's Forensic Friday was on knife wounds and how to determine what kind of knife was used. And we used the Idaho case as an example because we know that the knife sheath was found with those bodies, but we cannot just assume that that is the murder weapon that was used. So we kind of go through the different things that we look for when trying to figure that out. And I don't know what this week's Forensic Friday is going to be, so you guys will have to stay tuned for that. But we also have tomorrow on our YouTube Live, we will talk about whatever is breaking in this whole entire world of death and disease and dismemberment. So check out the Gross Room for only $5.99 a month.
Head over to thegrossroom.com now to sign up.
All right, so let's talk about this oldest woman alive and how she's being studied.
So, a paper was published last week which analyzed a woman who died in 2024 at 117 years old, hoping to find the secrets behind her long life. So, what did they discover?
So this was in a journal that's called Cell Reports Medicine, and the title of the article was called Multinomics Blueprint of the Individual with the Most Extreme Lifespan. And it's really cool because they were going through her genes, they were going through her metabolism, her microbiome and stuff by looking at blood, saliva, urine, and stools. And their conclusions were that she hit both the genetic lottery and lived a healthy lifestyle. So they thought that she had really good genes that were not causing her to have any kind of cancer or anything like that, or any kind of things that you would see in people as they get older, like cardiovascular disease and things like that. Like her body was staying very young, even though she was aging. But on top of that, they had major things that I think are important for people to hear. So she ate a pretty Mediterranean diet. She didn't ever smoke. She never drank alcohol, which I personally think too are two huge things. She had a diet that was, like I said, Mediterranean, that used a lot of olive oil. But one of the biggest kind of unusual things is that she ate a lot of yogurt 3 times a day, which is way more than most people eat.
Oh, definitely.
But they think that that may have contributed to her having a good microbiome. So a microbiome is the bacteria, the normal bacteria that are living inside of your gut. And if you have a really healthy one, that is known to cause there to be less inflammation in your body. So sometimes when you have yogurt with live active cultures, it can really keep you regular like that, and keep your bacteria regular. So they think that that could be the potential why she had such a good microbiome, and that might be the secret to all of it, is on top of having the good genes, is to eat a lot of yogurt.
You know, when people start getting to be like 80 years old and you're like, all right, they're probably, their time's probably coming to an end. And then she lived another 37 years.
It's really crazy because she was 117 years old. So in theory, she could have had a kid. She probably did have a kid in their 90s. I mean,
well, you know, my neighbors who are older, that guy's mom's still alive.
yeah, it is really, I mean, really, if you think about it, like Pop is 80 and his mom didn't die too long ago.
No, only,
Considering
10 years ago?
a little bit longer than that, but not much. Maybe
12, because it was the year Lillian was born. So
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm
2013.
saying. Like, considering that he's so old, you know, you're just like, it's sometimes you hear that when people are like, oh, sometimes someone my age will say like, oh, my grandmom or something. And I'm like, your grandmom's still alive? Like, you know what I mean? It's just funny. But yeah, I mean, she could have had like great, great, great grandchildren, right? If
Oh,
depending
totally.
on the age she was when she had her kids and the age that they were. So it is really, and she was living a good life. She didn't seem to be ill or she was with it, you know, and that's just really, really cool.
No, it
And
is super cool.
you know, we talk about this sometimes because my grandmother lived to be almost 100, and like other Maria's grandparents lived really long too. All Italian people, you know. Um but a lot of it, like if I think about how my grandmom ate and stuff, she always had, whenever we went over there to visit, like she always had fruit on her table. She seemed to have, she cooked a lot. She walked a lot. She didn't drive. Just things like that. And this woman too, she said she didn't really exercise formally, but she walked about every single day, which is important to do as well. So it's cool, but a lot of it is like, no matter how good you do that, the genes are always going to be a part of it.
Oh, totally. All right, this mother was breastfeeding her 15-month-old baby, and as he fell asleep, she went to unlatch him, noticed all this blood all over his chin, and then realized that he accidentally bit part of her nipple off.
Yeah, she said that it didn't hurt, but it was hanging off to the point where she called the doctor and they said, go to the hospital right now.
Can
And
you
she,
imagine?
no. And she went to the hospital and they said that they didn't think there was much that they could do for it and to just let it heal. And they thought that there is a possibility that she would have trouble breastfeeding in the future if scar tissue developed, but they didn't think that it was going to heal, that they thought it would heal okay.
So I guess my question as someone that doesn't have kids is like, when are you supposed to stop breastfeeding them? Because in my mind it would be before they had teeth, so they couldn't do something like this, or I would imagine it hurts when they have teeth.
It hurts anyway. Like just an FYI.
Okay.
But when you start, at least. But this kid had 5 teeth already, I think she said, right?
12.
12?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But the thing is, you're going to be shocked when I tell you what. So there's no recommendation at all for what age you should stop breastfeeding. They say that you should try to go for a year, but there's no age that says to stop. And they actually said, wait, hold on. I want to see what particular association said this. American Academy of Family Physicians. You're going to be mind blown when I tell you this. They say that the normal age to wean off a child is between 2 and 7 years old.
7?
Yes.
If the kid could ask for it, they should not be doing it.
No, that's not true. They tell you that's why they don't even give a number, because they're like, when your kid's ready, they don't care.
A 7-year-old is in school.
Yeah, like in 2nd grade or 3rd grade, right?
7? I can't believe this.
No, listen, people breastfeed in other countries like way longer than here. Most people, like, I just wanted with the girls to say, okay, I got to a year, and I did with both of them. And then I would at that point, especially because I had Lillian and then I got pregnant so I was breastfeeding Lillian up until I got pregnant with Lucia. And then I was pregnant with her and then breastfeeding her. Like, I just wanted my body back after that. So it was a full year for each one. And plus I was working full time and it just was very difficult to pump and this and that. So I got to a year with both of them and was happy with that.
I just can't believe this.
But people do. My mom breastfed me till I was 2.5, which is
too long.
Which is too. Yeah, I always say that it was too long. But there's children that definitely get breastfed until they're 5, 6, 7 years old.
That is insane to me. I don't know. Do you think a large part of it though is, don't women lose a lot of weight when they do it? So do you think that has something to do with it?
No, I think people just like to bond with the kids. I mean, and honestly, when you're breastfeeding, when it's necessary for the kid, like up until 6 months old, because they can't eat solid food, that's when you burn a lot of calories. But I think once, especially if you're breastfeeding a kid that's 7 years old, it's like you're doing it at night for them to fall asleep. It's not burning much calories. You're not making much milk, and it's not. Even towards the end, as soon as Lillian and Lucia, they were eating food and stuff, it was like I wasn't really nursing them as much anymore, and it just wasn't the same as like when I was in the thick of it and my boobs were like filling up like bowling balls every couple hours, and it was just insane. Like, that's when you're really burning all the calories.
I can't get over the 7 years old. I mean, at what point does the doctor have to step in and be like, you need to stop?
They won't step in.
But I feel like at some point it's like borderline child abuse. Like, it's way too long.
They don't think that though. That's why they don't even put an age where they're like, you can consider this. Instead, they put a range like, yeah, it should be between 2 and 7.
Like 2 is kind of old to me. Like 7, just can't believe this. Somebody listening will be a person or know somebody that's gone till that long, but I know it is crazy because it's like your kid is
going to school, and if your kid even said that out loud, they would get beat up. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, if you were an adult and you met somebody that was like, I was breastfed till I was 7, you'd be like, that's weird.
yeah. But it's, you have to understand that that's our culture. Like, our culture is getting better for sure. But there was a period of time where when you were a baby, for example, that people were not into breastfeeding as much, and bottle feeding became more popular, and people didn't want to do it in public. And now it's starting to come back, and people still get butthurt if someone's breastfeeding in public or something like that. I never gave a shit because I'm just like, my kid needs to eat. I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna hide under this blanket and put my kid. Remember, I used to put Lillian under that thing for a minute, and it just was like she was like flopping underneath of it. And
No, but I mean, it obviously does not bother me at all if people are feeding in public, but there certainly are exhibitionist mothers that pull their entire shirt off in the middle of like a coffee shop, and you're like, okay, you don't
no,
need to
there's a
take
way
your
to
whole shirt off.
discreetly do it. Yeah.
You don't even have to discreetly do it, but there's definitely, I've seen people in public.
I think I've seen people with all of these, like the special bra and the special shirt and the wrap and this and that, and I'm like, dude, you're bringing more attention to it. Just pull your nip out real quick and stick it in the kid's mouth and get it over with and pull it out. Like, it's just it just doesn't need to be that big of a deal.
No, totally. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's the people that are comfortable doing that, and it doesn't even bother me if, like, I see a nip in public, right? But there's, like, totally people that are just like, look at me, and they'll have their boobs out for, like, 5 minutes before the kid's there. And you're like, okay, you need to chill out. But it's an interesting thing to think about. All right, back in 2023, an imaging center opened in St. George, Utah, in a building next to a diabetes clinic, and not long after that, employees in the diabetes clinic all started getting sick, only to realize that radiation was coming from the office next door.
This story is so messed up. Really. So they figured, and it's really cool that they figured this out. I mean, obviously everybody at work is sick, right? So they're just like, okay, something is wrong here. And they were having symptoms like headaches, nausea, dizziness, fatigue, drowsiness. And one person had even gotten diagnosed with cancer. So I guess when so this is a diabetes center, and next door to it is the place that's doing CT scans. So they are supposed to put up this special drywall that goes in between the buildings that has lead in it to prevent radiation from coming through the walls. And they didn't use that drywall. It seems like the company might have requested a construction company to use it and even paid for it and said it's like 10 times more money than regular drywall, but the construction company didn't use it. So, I mean, I don't really know that you truly understand the implications of this. Like, just because these people were having sickness right now, they have to worry about this for the rest of their life because of the amount of radiation they were exposed to, and will likely show up with cancer at some point in their life because of it.
Yeah, I mean, because wasn't it a full year before they figured out what was happening?
It was a full year, but let me tell you about the testing they found. So normally the state rules say that people in businesses like this, members of the public, are supposed to be exposed to a maximum of 0.1 REM per year, right? And they found the testing adjacent to this x-ray room was 0.44 REM. Now, they said if someone was exposed to that level of radiation in the hallway for 5 days a week during every exam performed, their annual exposure would be more than 7.9 REM.
Wow.
So they're saying a person should have, that's considered to be safe exposure of radiation, 0.1. And these people may have been exposed to as high as 7.9.
Okay, so I guess my question is, I understand they're trying to like point blame at the construction company for taking the money for the lead-based drywall and not using it, but are there not inspections in between this time? Because they're saying after they speculated their radiation that they cut a hole in the wall and saw that there was in fact no lead in there. So was an inspection not done? Because I would think if you had this state mandate that any imaging centers had to have this special drywall, that they would have to inspect that it was actually put in place.
Yeah, I mean, I guess once these lawsuits go through, they're definitely going to be able to figure out what happened. It's just like we talk about with every single story. There's supposed to be checks and balances along the way to prevent things like this from happening. But I mean, one person already has cancer. I guarantee you more people are going to end up having cancer from this. It's so terrible because there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing. You just, the more radiation you're exposed to, the more your DNA can change and the more you have an increased risk for cancer. And it's just like, they just have to sit here and wait now and never know if it's going to pop up or not. And it's scary too because it's invisible. You don't see it happening to you, and just against your will like that for all that time and not knowing what it was. It's just so irresponsible. And even like let's say you can sue them for millions of dollars, but you end up getting cancer when you're 25 or 30 years old and die from it. What's the money do for you?
Well, yeah, and they're saying 27 people were exposed, including 3 children. So
Yeah,
those little kids, I mean, think about it, they're young.
I know. It's just it's such a terrible story.
I just guess I never even thought about that in general when you go to a place like that. You know, even the employee is not getting exposed, but these are why these laws are set in place.
Yeah, and that's why how many times like I go to the dentist with the kids, or anytime you go to something like that, an MRI or something, they always make the person get out of the room, right? They're always
Except
just like,
when we were at the
well,
ER and they gave that person an x-ray right next to us.
yeah, that was actually weird, but I don't know what the deal is with those kinds of machines. But that was weird though, that they had a portable x-ray machine and gave someone an x-ray right next to us, and I was just kind of like, "Oh, do we have the option of not standing here and having exposure to radiation?" But I don't know how those things work. It was probably wrong, but who knows? Maybe someone listening could tell us that. But yeah, like that's why when I'm at the dentist with the kids, for example, they're just kind of like, okay, they put that apron, the lead apron on the kid, and then they're like, can you step out of the room? And you know, there's a reason that they do that kind of stuff. And just to think that they were unknowingly exposing people to radiation at those levels is just so messed up.
It's horrible. All right, guys, tomorrow night we're going to be at the Wildlife CSI at Lake Tobias Wildlife Park in Halifax, Pennsylvania. And then on the 12th, we're going to be at the Keeping Hope Alive Golf Classic, sponsoring the golf carts. And then the following weekend on the 18th, we're going to be at Darkside, New Jersey in Edison.
Awesome. See you guys there.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor, and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day, and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.